So we're going to start off by plugging into the formula, and we're going to write out, so this is our x value, this is our y value. So the 4 is going to be x1, and the 1 is going to be y1 in terms of our formula. And then the slope, 2, that's going to be m. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up plugging this into the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So the value of y1, which is 1, goes right here. The value of x1, which is 4, is going to plug in over here. And then the slope, the value of m2, is going to plug in right here. So we're just replacing three variables with actual numbers. So we're going to be writing y minus 1 equals 2 times x minus 4. There you go. And that would be the answer in point slope form. So this is perfectly fine for writing an equation. However, we are going to finish up by writing this in slope intercept form. So what I want you to do is, I probably should have written this one here and gone over here, but that's all right. We'll go ahead and move over to the left. So it tells you right here, be sure to distribute and solve for y. The reason why it's writing that is because if you distribute the number on the outside of the parentheses and then get y by itself, you're going to be back in slope intercept form. So this is kind of just making sure we can get back to slope intercept form. So just go ahead and write the equation again here. Y minus 1 equals 2 times x minus 4. Yeah, we're basically going to get y by itself. Kind of like yesterday when we... I don't think they usually mow it this time. This is new. So kind of like yesterday when we got from standard form to slope intercept, we got rid of the x term and then we got y by itself. We're going to do the same thing here. It's just going to look a little different. So take your 2, distribute to the x and to the negative 4. We are going to do that, yeah. And then 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Because we have to multiply the 2 by the x and the negative 4 when you distribute. So this is just like basic algebra stuff now. And then we're going to add 1 to both sides. And remember, the 1 does not add to the 2x. The 1 only adds to the negative 8. So we're going to get y equals 2x. Negative 8 plus 1 would be negative 7. So that would be what we end up with. Y equals 2x minus 7. That's our answer. So we're going to do the next one together, and then I'm going to have you try, we'll do the next 2 together, then I'll have you try number 4 on your own after that. So let's see, problem number 2. Here's x1, here's y1, here's m. I'm going to make this a little bit better organized this time. I'm going to write the point slope over here and then convert to slope intercept on the right. So we're going to have y minus, the value of y1 is 4, so y minus 4 on the left, equals the slope of 1/2, and then in parentheses we're going to multiply by x minus 2. So that's our point slope equation. We just plug in for y1, plug in for m, plug in for x1, and then we're going to distribute. So if you distribute 1/2 to the x and to the negative 2, it's going to go up here. That'll be y minus 4 equals, what is 1/2 times x? 1/2 x, yeah. 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. What's that? No, we're not going to use decimals because this fraction is the slope, and slope is going to be best used as a fraction. So we're never going to convert slope into a decimal. Good question. All right, and then 1/2 times negative 2. Negative 1, yeah. So 1/2 x minus 1. And then we have one thing to do to get y by itself. What is it? Add 4, yeah. Plus 4 here, plus 4 here. So we're gonna get y equals 1/2 x. Close. What's -1 plus 4? It'd be positive 3. Positive 3, yeah, so plus 3. Good. Start at -1, add 4 to that, you get positive 3. Nice. All right. Questions on 1 or 2 before we look at number 3, and then I'll have you try 4 on your own. All right, let's give it a try. Number 3. So here we go. X1 is -6, Y1 is 0, M is 2/3. So that'll be Y minus Y1, which is 0. Y minus 0, which is just Y. We'll talk about that in a second. Equals the slope 2/3, and then parentheses X minus -6. What would be an easier? Yeah, that would be an easier way to write it, wouldn't it? X plus 6. Good. X minus -6. It would be a little bit easier to write it as plus 6 because 2 negatives make the plus. All right, so we're going to distribute 2/3 to X and 2/3 to 6. And on the left, are we all okay if I just write Y instead of Y minus 0? Yeah, okay. Because that means this is only going to take one step. We don't have to add anything to the other side or subtract anything to the other side because 0 was there, so we don't need to do anything with it at all. 2/3 times X is 2/3 X. What is 2/3 times 6? Was that 4? Yeah. So plus 4. And you can just multiply that on your calculator if you want to. Or if you want a quick reminder on multiplying a fraction by a whole number, take the numerator of the fraction, multiply it by the whole number. 2 times 6 is 12. And then just divide by the denominator. 12 divided by 3 is 4. There we go. That's number 3. I would like you to try number 4 on your own. Try number 4, so we'll move on from there. All right. Somebody tell me, what is the initial point slope equation? What's our initial point slope equation before you do the distributive property and all that? What's the first thing we got to write here for point slope? Okay. Y plus 1. Yeah. Nice. Y plus 1, because we're subtracting -1. So basically, anytime you have negative numbers here, that's going to be a plus in point slope because you'd be subtracting the negative, which makes it a plus. So there we go. That's our point slope. And then we got to distribute. So the left side stays the same for now. We got Y plus 1 is going to equal -3/4 X and minus 6. Sounds good. Minus 6. -3 times 8 is -24. -24 divided by 4 is -6. Nice. All right. So one more thing we got to do. What is it?
Plus 1.
Oh,
Minus
yeah. Subtract 1 this time.
minus
Cool, cool. So we got Y equals Negative 3 over 4x minus 7. There we go. So that's our answer for that one. So plugging in, distributing, and then adding or subtracting to get y by itself. Does this look familiar from last year at all? Yeah. A little bit? Okay, cool. If it doesn't, hopefully this makes a decent amount of sense because you're substituting and doing a little bit of solving. Now, type 2. Vicky, you asked me a few minutes ago, are we going to use the slope formula today? And the answer is yes, we are, because when you are given 2 points, we don't know what the slope is yet. So we have to figure out what the slope is based on those 2 points. So we are going to need, so off to the side here, write this, use m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 first. Use the slope formula first. You have to find the slope before you can do anything here. So use m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 first. That's the first thing you have to do. X2 minus x1 on the bottom, yeah. Y2 minus y1 on the numerator. That has to be done first because if you don't have the slope, you can't use point slope. Slope is necessary for that. So what we need to do is figure out our slope and then plug into point slope, and then we're good. And then convert to slope intercept after that. Thank you. All right. So here we go. Number 5. We got x1, we got y1, we've got x2, and we've got y2. And then we're going to use the slope formula just like we did 2 days ago. So we're going to say m is equal to negative 1 minus 7 over 1 minus negative 3 or 1 plus 3. That's fine. And let's see, that's going to be negative 1 minus 7 is negative 8. 1 plus 3 is 4. Negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. That's going to be our slope. Now we need to write a point slope equation and convert it into slope intercept, just like we did back up here.
We put all the numbers in there?
We're going to use one of these 2 points. Yeah. So the formula itself does say y1 and x1. However, if you are given 2 points, it doesn't matter which of those 2 points you use for point slope. I am going to use x1, y1 first, but then I'm going to show you using x2, y2. You get the same answer either way. But let's start with x1, y1. So we're going to go with y minus 7, because that's what y1 is. So y minus 7 equals the slope, negative 2, times x minus negative 1. So we can just write x plus 3. Or sorry, x minus negative 3, which would be x plus 3.
So we would do it like the same as the top.
Exactly. You only have to do one. And because I'm going to show you, I am going to show you both of them, but you only need to do one. And the reason why is because you get the same answer either way. I'll tell you in a second. Yeah. So go ahead and just use x1, y1 for now. And then we're going to distribute the negative 2. And so we'll get y minus 7 equals negative 2x minus 6. Last thing we'll do is add 7 to both sides. And then we got y equals negative 2x plus 1. So that's our answer. Y equals negative 2x plus 1. Okay, so that's the slope-intercept equation. Now, Vicky had a really good question. How do you know which point to use when you write into your point-slope equation? And the answer is, it doesn't actually matter. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to write the other version over here with 1 and negative 1. You don't need to write this down. I just want to show you that it doesn't actually matter which set of points you choose to use when you plug in a point slope. You'll get the same answer either way. So if we were to use this point instead of this one, we would have y plus 1 equals negative 2 times x minus 1. That would be if we used x2, y2 instead of x1, y1. If we distribute the negative 2, that would be y plus 1 equals negative 2x plus 2. So we're using these 2 points here, or this point here, instead of that point there. So we're plugging it into point slope form, but instead of using 7 and negative 3, we're using negative 1 and 1. So I'm just showing you the same problem with the other set of points. And so you distribute the -2 again, and then you subtract 1 from both sides. 2 minus 1 is 1, so you get y equals -2x plus 1. That's the same answer. So it doesn't matter which point you use when you plug in a point slope, you will end up with the same slope intercept equation either way. So it's totally up to you when you write your point slope equation. You get to pick which of the 2 points you choose, because either way, you get the same slope intercept. Doesn't make a difference. All right. By the way, the reason for that is every line, when you write it in slope intercept form, you get the slope in the y-intercept. Every line has only one y-intercept. So what we're doing is we're taking some random point on the line, of which there are infinitely many random points on any given line. We're taking one random point and we're getting it to slope intercept, and there's only one y-intercept, so the y-intercept needs to be the same no matter what point you start on the line. So that's why it ends up being the same. All right, let's check out number 6. Here we go, x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's figure out our slope here for number 6. So that's going to be m equals, I'm going to be a lot quicker with this one, -4 minus -7, which would be -4 plus 7, over 3 minus -6, which would be 3 plus 6. So that'll be 3 over 9, which equals 1/3. For the slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So slope is 1/3. Yeah, nice. All right, then first person to say it is the point we're going to use. Do we want to use x1, y1 or x2, y2? What one? x1, y1. Okay, so we're going to use x1, y1 instead of x2, y2. We get the same answer either way, but it just said this one first, so we're going to use that one. All right, so we're going to say y what? What are we going to write for our point slope? Y minus -7 should be y plus 7. Yep. Equals 1/3. So the x minus -6, so x plus 6. Yeah, because it's subtracting a negative again. 2 negatives again. All right. So then you're going to distribute. So distribute the 1/3, finish up that problem. What'd you get? No, the slope is 1/3. Which one are you talking about? Okay, yeah, keep the slope at the slope needs to be the same the whole time. So the slope is 1/3. We're gonna make sure that slope stays the same. So when you distribute 1/3 up here, you're gonna get y plus 7 equals 1/3 x plus 2, because 1/3 times 6 is 2. Subtract 7 from both sides. And we should have y equals 1/3 x minus 5. I think you used 2 for the slope instead of 1/3. Yeah. All right, we'll do 7 real quick, and then I'm gonna have you try 8 on your own. Here we go. Number 7. x1, y1, x2, y2. So m equals -6 minus -1, so that's -6 plus 1, over 4 minus 2. -6 plus 1 is -5. 4 minus 2 is 2. So that's just -5 over 2. That doesn't reduce. That's our slope. Okay, and then should we use x1, y1 or x2, y2? 1? 1? Okay, we'll do the 1. All right, sounds good to me. Smaller numbers oftentimes are easier to work with. By the way, if 0 is an option, I would always recommend using that point. If you have a 0 included in one of your points, that's always a good number to use. I don't see any of those here, but if it happens, 0 is always a good one. All right, so we're gonna have y plus 1 equals -5/2 times x minus 2. Yeah, go for it. What's -5/2 times -2?
85.
Positive, right? Positive 5. Yeah, so plus 5. All right. And then we're going to subtract 1. Yep. And then the answer is going to be plus 4. Y equals -5/2x plus 4. And that's because we're just taking a positive 5 and subtracting 1, which keeps it positive. All right. Give number 8 a try. Do that one on your own. See what you get. Let's
The plus one. You can't go wrong. I'm not even done.
all right. So with the slope, we have 7 minus -8 or 7 plus 8 on the numerator, 2 minus -3 or 2 plus 3 on the denominator. That is 15 divided by 5, which is 3. So your slope is 3. I used x1, y1. If you used x2, y2, you get the same answer. So we got y plus 8 is equal to 3 times x plus 3. Distribute the 3, you get y plus 8 equals 3x plus 9. Subtract 8 from both sides, and y equals 3x plus 1. Any questions before we look at the back? Because we're going to do some different stuff on the back. We're going to go back to parallel and perpendicular on the back. And this time, we're not going to determine if things are parallel and perpendicular. This time, we're going to figure out what is either parallel or perpendicular and then write a new equation based off of that. So it's going to be a bit different. So pay very close attention on the back of this paper, because basically everything we've done over the last 3 days now is leading up to what we have to do on the back here. So number 9 says to write an equation that is parallel to y equals 2x plus 4 that passes through the point -4, -1. Now, this is an original equation that we are given. That's the equation that we know. And we have to write a new equation that is parallel to this line and goes through this point. So what we have to do first is we have to figure out the slope. Here we go. We have to figure out the slope of the original line. So find slope of given line. This is the given line. So we have to find the slope of the given line. Because parallel and perpendicular has everything to do with slope. So if we know the slope of the given line, then we can figure out the slope of the line that will be parallel to that. So what is the slope of the given line? What is it? 2, yeah. Because this says y equals 2x plus 4. The slope is the number next to x. It's in slope-intercept form. So that's the slope of the given line. So the slope of the given line, m equals 2. Once you have the slope of the given line, you need the slope of the new line. So slope of new line. And it needs to be, what's the relationship between the two lines? What does it tell you? Take a look. What does it say about the two lines? They are parallel. So the slope of the new line needs to be parallel to 2. So parallel to 2. What do we know about parallel slopes? What about the numbers though? They're the same. So wait, no, exactly the same. So 2.
So we don't have to.
What's that? So the slope of the given line is 2. We need to write an equation of a line that's parallel to that. So whatever we do with our new line, it also has to have a slope of 2. That's the only way it works for parallel, is if the slopes are exactly the same. So our m value is 2. And the new line, it tells us, goes through this point here. So that will be x1, y1. So new line in point slope form. So we need to write our new line in point slope form because we have a point and we have the slope. So now we're doing what we did on the front side. We're taking the point that we were given, we're taking the slope that we know we have to use, and we're writing a point slope equation, and then we're going to convert to slope intercept just like we did on the front. So from here on out, it's exactly the same as what we did on the front side. So we're going to have y minus -1, which would be y plus 1, equals the slope of 2 times x minus x1, which would be x minus -4, so x plus 4. And we're going to take this equation, distribute the 2, subtract the 1, and write our new slope-intercept equation. So distribute your 2, that'll be y plus 1 equals 2x plus 8. When you distribute the 2, 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 4 is 8. And then subtract 1. And the answer is here. Y equals 2x plus 7. Before we move on, I want you to take a look at the original equation again. So get this written down and then take a look back at the original equation that we were given. What's the only difference between those two equations? The 7 and the 4, right? Which makes sense because the slopes have to be the same. The only difference between parallel lines is the y-intercept. The slopes will be the same, so the y-intercepts will be the only difference. So y equals 2x plus 7 for the answer, y equals 2x plus 4 is what we were given. So it should make sense that those two things would be parallel because they both have a slope of 2, but they have different y-intercepts. All right. I'm going to skip ahead to number 12. We are going to go back to 10 and 11, but I'm going to skip ahead to 12 to show you how to do a perpendicular example.
Is it parallel?
Pretty much. So perpendicular, it's going to be similar to what we just did. So let's move down to number 12. And we're going to do the same thing that we did at the beginning of the problem. We need to find the slope of the given line. So find slope of given line. So here's the given line. What's the slope of that line? What's that? Slope of the given line is 3/4, yeah. And then you're giving me what we need for a new one. So we'll hang on that in just a second here. So m equals 3/4. So the given line has a slope of 3/4. we need to write an equation of a line that is not parallel this time. We need to write an equation of a line that is perpendicular to this line, and it's going to go through this point over here. So the new line, so slope of new line is going to be perpendicular to 3/4. Perpendicular slopes are not the same. What is the relationship for perpendicular slopes? Opposite and reciprocal. So we need a positive and a negative, and they need to be flipped over versions of the same fraction. So here's our positive. So the new one needs to be negative, and then there you go, -4/3. So the equation of the line that we're going to be writing has to have a slope of -4/3 because it's perpendicular to the original, not parallel. All right, now we're going to identify x1 and y1, which is over here. And we're going to do the same thing we did last time. Exactly the same thing. We're going to write the new line in point slope form, and then we're going to distribute and get y by itself, just like we did on the front. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to say y plus 3 equals the slope of the new line, -4/3. Don't use the original slope here, use the new slope. So -4/3, and then x minus 3. Then we're going to distribute once you have that written.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. What's up? This one up here? Which part of it? So in order to write an equation of a line that's parallel to an original one, you have to figure out the slope of the new line, because the only thing that matters in terms of lines and parallel and perpendicular is the slope. So you have to know the slope of the line that you have, which is 2. And if you're going to write a line that's parallel to that, it has to have the exact same slope. So the new line has to have the same slope. Old line 2, new line 2. Then once you have your new slope, we're just going to do what we did in the front. Here's your slope. Here's a point. And we write it in point slope just like we did on the front. And then we distribute and get y by itself. And it's the same thing for perpendicular as well. Yeah. What's that?
So 10 would be -5, and like 11 would be.
So yeah, 10.
Don't do 11.
No, it's all right. So 10, yeah, we have -5/2 for the original slope. The new slope would have to be -5/2 as well because it'd be parallel. Number 11, 11 is gonna be a little different because this is in standard form. So you're gonna have to do what we did yesterday and get y by itself first to figure out the original slope. Then once you have that, then you can figure out your new slope. We'll do this one together. But let's finish up number 12. So we'll go ahead and distribute the -4/3. So we're gonna get y plus 3 equals -4/3 x. And then what's -4/3 times -3? 4, yeah. So plus 4. And then subtract 3 from both sides, -3 and -3. And so our answer, just going to write it over here, is going to be y equals -4/3 x plus 1. There we go.
What's 1 plus, no, what's 1 minus 3 would be? -2.
All right. Let's answer 2 more and then we'll call it a day. So we'll do 11 and 14, because I do want to show you what to do if the equation is not in slope intercept to begin with. It's basically a combination of what we did yesterday and everything we did today. So any questions on 9 or 12 before we go back and look at number 11? All right, let's look at number 11. So number 11, we need to figure out the slope of the original line, of the given line. This one here is not in slope intercept, so we don't know the slope yet. This is in standard form, so we have to get y by itself. So this is what we did yesterday. We need to subtract x from both sides. And we're going to get -3y equals -1x plus 9. This is what we did yesterday to go from standard form into slope intercept. What else do we have to do to get y by itself here? Divide by -3. Good. So everything gets divided by -3, which gives us y equals -1 over -3 is just +1/3. So 1/3 x, and then 9 divided by -3 is -3. Okay, so slope of given line is m equals 1/3. The slope of the given line is 1/3 because we now have it in slope intercept form. So the given line has a slope of 1/3. So the slope of the new line needs to be parallel to 1/3. Parallel means what? In terms of the number, the same. So given line, slope of 1/3, new line, slope of 1/3. So I want you to finish the problem from here. We got x1 over here, we got y1 over here. So write your point slope equation and convert to slope intercept.
We put this in order. Huh?
Okay. I think maybe you combine some things that aren't able to be combined. Because our slope is 1/3. So did you get y plus 1 equals 1/3 times x minus 3? For your point slope equation? Okay, so that's your point slope equation. Once you have that written down, because we got x1, y1 here. Once you have that, distribute and then get rid of the 1 on the left side. So the answer to number 11 should be y equals 1/3 x minus 2. Are there any questions on that one? Because next I'm going to have you try number 14 all on your own. Yeah. Try number 14 all on your own once you have number 11 written down. No, you got to get y by itself. So Serenity, just like we did with number 11, you have to get y all by itself first.
We divide 3, you have like negative.
It should be negative 21, right?
Well, we minus 5.
You can't put them together because one has x and the other doesn't.
Was there 24. No,
You can't put the 5x and the 21 together.
no, I think 34. That's 31. And that's 3 1. I don't know if you want it. No, I don't think you want to divide. I don't know if you want to What if you have this?
For the slope, push the button above enter. And use the fraction. Yeah. What's that? What's that? 3/5.
It wouldn't be positive, right?
It would be. Correct. Just positive. Yeah. So in the interest of time, because we're out of here at 9:07 today, because there's advisory, let's take a look at number 14 here. So the original slope, once you get y by itself, the given line has a slope of -5/3. So you're going from -5/3 perpendicular to that would be positive 3/5, or just 3/5. So you got a slope of 3/5 for your new line. X1, Y1 right here. So your point slope equation should be y minus 1 equals 3/5 times x plus 5. That's the point slope equation. Then you're going to distribute 3/5. That would be y minus 1 equals 3/5 x plus 3. And then add 1 to both sides, and you should end up with y equals 3/5 x plus 4. Good. All right. Hopefully it was good most of the way through. If there's something that didn't go right for you, hopefully it's a small thing that you can see what happened up here. That's the idea. I'm gonna get your assignment handed out. We got about 6 minutes, so please get started on this. Yeah, because we're out here at 9:07.
You have a quiz tomorrow?
There is a quiz tomorrow. You can use these notes. You are allowed to use your notes on the quiz tomorrow. Yeah. What's that? Yes. We're gonna take 2 full days for you guys. Yeah. All right, so we started off the assignment. We got about 6 minutes to get going on this. If you want to, I might recommend doing the back of this first because those are the tougher questions. Those are the things like we just did here. So if you want to start on the back side, get the tough ones done first. I do have TAT today, so if you want to stop by and get some help on this stuff, if you need it, stop by after school.
Notes for the.
Oh yeah, totally.
Thank you.
Wait, I'll talk about it.
For the homework, not yet.
Not yet. Oh,
Hi. Good. Wait, we're going to do. How much you get? I guess I'm remembering. I'm gonna go up with the way my. Okay. What do you got? What do you got? Yeah, let's get it. You know?
And then when you use zero, when you apply it to them.
Yeah, that's, yeah. So these will do. So, yeah, so anytime you become like, maybe, so from yesterday, anytime you just go wide, you get the number, if it's positive or negative, or low. Anytime. Basically, this is the horizontal line, that's a vertical. Yeah, the horizontal is vertical. Yeah, exactly. And then from here, that's a vertical line, that's a vertical line. So. There you go.
All right.
Pick it up, right? You want to know? No.